sacrifice. They put every dollar they had, everything on the line, and the rest is history. They just worked so hard and built this great thing for all of us.
Yeah. How much do you think about that when you?
I do all the time.
I wonder, because you show up to work some days and I'm sure maybe you're a little tired, or
exactly.
Do you ever think about all the sacrifice they made to put you in that position in the first place?
And it gives me that extra pep, hey, just keep going. It's going to work out. Just keep doing what they did, and keep innovating the store. They kept, when they started, it was a small store, we've expanded.
What was the original square footage? I'm curious of that. The first one, do you know?
Maybe 8,000 square feet, maybe 10. It was a small 60 feet wide, it's just, I always look and I'm like, they did it the right way. They opened for a couple of years. Things were getting better. Hey, let's add 20 more feet. Let's add this type of food, and they never got to, let's open 4 more stores. Like I said, it was just all at the right pace. When they felt it was right, they'd make that change.
That's a really smart way to go about it in general for anybody that's looking to start businesses.
Absolutely.
If you can find a way, because what that does for them is it gave them the ability probably to do it right, to do it well, to not cut costs on things. Absolutely. They did it the right way from the start, which allowed them to scale. If you go for the home run, you're going to be trying to cut corners and doing all kinds of things right off the jump, and it's just going to be a race to the bottom at that point.
No, and every time we did that, and like I said, I believe it's been like 6 or 7 remodels, over the years, and every time we've done it.
Oh, really? Okay, that's amazing.
Yeah, because it'd be 2,000 feet here, and then, hey, let's add a kitchen in the store, to make gourmet foods. And everything we did, we'd put the passion into it. And literally all of them just worked out great. It made the store busier, more customers coming in, it was great. And people love coming in. Oh my God, look at this new department they got, or look at this, new pizzeria, it makes it exciting for people to come into a store.
Yeah, for sure. So let's go back to the timeline of where we were at. So you guys are getting into a position where you're going to have the 2 separate locations.
Yep.
At that point, you're very young, obviously. Yes. At that point, you're also being asked to lead and be a leader, I would imagine. How many people are you leading? How many employees were you managing at that point?
I would say about 115.
Okay, so that's a lot to ask out of a 22, 23-year-old.
Exactly.
What are some valuable lessons that you learned in those initial years in regards to leading?
Being patient, really working with your key people and letting them know you're there, but I need their support as well. And teach me, because I'm still learning. Let's work together as a team, and just always keeping an open mind. And things are going to go wrong. Things you're going to feel some days like, wow, I'm not the right guy for this. But don't give up. Just take one thing at a time. That's always something my dad and my aunt, even my uncle and my mom have said. Hey, you have 20 things to do. Prioritize the most important, and then just work on the other ones, and it'll all work out.
Yeah.
And that's what I told my managers. Let's tackle each issue or each adventure together, and we'll make it work.
Yeah. Was there anything that you ran into? Did you struggle with? I'm just curious, out of if it was me in that position, was there anybody that challenged you or maybe second guessed the fact that you were 22, 23 years old at the time?
I would say I didn't have that.
Or did
problem.
You think that was ever a factor or not?
No, I didn't think it was, because so many of those people that were at the store, they had seen me there since I was 8. It wasn't like, he's just, he just finished college, never been in here. They've seen it. They're like, man, Vince had to sweep when he had to do that. He's done the lowest, lower things, than he should have to do. And I'm the type, I'll do anything. Hey, it's freezing outside. We need shopping carts. Let's go. I'd grab somebody. Let's go get all the shopping carts. I'm not afraid to do any of that stuff.
No, that makes a ton of sense.
If
the way that you painted that was perfect. If you were just that kid that graduated college and I'm going to take over the business now, that probably wouldn't have been a good look. But being that you had made the time to be there prior, I'm sure that made a big difference.
Absolutely. I let everybody know that first day when that new store opened, like, hey, I want to work with you. I want to be your partner in this, and obviously we're not going to always agree on everything, but let's take each thing, work together, and move forward. And we're going to just keep building this and building it. And we're going to get better and better.
Absolutely. I want to hear about some of the challenges that maybe you guys had when you did open up those 2 locations. So what were the biggest things that were a conflict in the early days, in the first couple of years that you guys were open?
I would say, getting the correct help, there's always employees out there, but finding those right people that have that passion, that, love food, you're communicating with customers a lot, and there's happy customers and unhappy customers. So it's all, trying to balance and understand, what can I do to help you? What can I do to make your experience good? And that was a challenge we had, but, and one thing we were good about, it was, we'd really interview people and make sure, hey, is this your kind of fit? We'd, make sure we were happy with their level of commitment, and I would say that was a challenge at first, and understanding the dynamics, because you look at our Clinton Township store, Shelby Township store, it's only maybe 10 to 15 miles away, but the clientels were completely different. It's something like, man, I didn't know I was going to sell this much of something. I keep running out, so that was something that we had to learn, and that took a little time, but we kept working at it and learning it and studying our numbers, and it came through good.
Huge theme that I'm hearing here is you're just always learning, and you're always observing what's going on. What did we do last week? What could we improve on?
Oh yeah.
How can we learn from it? And I think that's been the key to a lot of the success that it sounds like you're having. So that's
always
amazing
learning,
stuff.
always learning.
That's amazing. I want to hear. So do you now, first off, do you do all the interviews now yourself? Or are there people doing interviews for you? And back in those days, were you doing the interviews? I'm curious about that.
Back in the days, I would do them more. Yes, I was more firsthand. Now I have some secretaries that help, some hiring managers. They'll kind of go through it, vent them out. Hey, I feel like this person's great. And I always make sure to meet every new employee, introduce myself, let them know what we're expecting of them. And they like that. It's like, hey, I'm not just coming in here and never seeing the owners or,
Yeah.
So I really enjoy that, just to get a feel of who they are. Never judge. I always like to say, hey, we're going to put you out in the battlefield and let's see what you can do,
Yeah, absolutely. So during those early phases when you were doing a lot of them, I would assume you were honing in on some of the key things that you look for.
Yes.
And I would assume that's what you communicate now to your secretaries that they look for.
Yes.
What were some of those key things that maybe you found over the years were key indicators like, hey, this is going to be a good fit?
I always look for friendly people, like to communicate more often, not closed-minded, always open-minded to, certain things that, hey, I was always used to putting these cans up this way. Well, we like them this way. I always liked open-minded people that were willing to learn. Huge. Say,
that's a good one. I haven't heard that one. The open-mindedness. I've heard people like to learn. That's one thing. But being open-minded to other opinions and other thoughts, that's a really interesting one. I haven't heard someone say that.
Yeah, because, a lot of employees we do get, hey, have either worked at a competitor or somewhere in the industry, and I want them to come in and learn our way. Not that their way is wrong, but we really want you to bring in some stuff and because you could always teach us too, but we would love you to learn our system of success,
Yeah. Most importantly, it sounds like you're open to the conversation, though.
Yes.
It's not, hey, this is how we do it.
No.
Take it or leave it.
No.
This is how we found works best in our world.
Yes.
If there's anything you think you can contribute, let us know and we're willing to hear it.
Oh, absolutely. I say that all the time. I want to learn, especially if they've worked at other stores. It's similar in our, especially if they're more of a gourmet market they've worked in.
Yeah.
I always love hearing, hey, what's your experience with this? How did you guys perform these things, Because I'm learning too there. So
there's no non-compete in your guys' industry.
Key employees, we do have that, we try to watch, but most of the everyday employees, no, we're looking for good people, if they're not happy or they wanted to move on, and we see them as a good fit for us, we'd love to have them in there.
Yeah. I'm curious about a time frame that we're creeping into now. So This is now 2005, 2006, you said you opened Shelby?
Yep.
2007, 2008.
Yep.
Did that have a huge impact on what was going on in at least in the grocery market?
Well, that's, I believe, when the economy was starting to get a little funny.
That's what I'm asking about. So when things crashed in terms of housing and things of that nature, did that impact your guys' business a lot?
I would say yes, because more people were eating at home, instead of going to a restaurant that could cost $100 for a family of five.
Oh, so even in a good way,
yes,
potentially.
Yes.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it's more like the economy gets a little slower, or people are starting to watch, they're going to eat at home more often, So we adapted to that. We looked for better deals, more bulk items that we could sell at the right price. But we did see an uptick in people. The restaurants, I'm sure, slowed down a little bit.
Yeah.
But we were the ones where you come in and get hey, I could feed a family of five now for $40, no problem.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, and we were getting actually people that might have been in the real estate industry, you know, smart, educated people that were looking for jobs. And we're finding good, qualified people that, especially realtors that have good communication skills, you know, wanting to come in and work part-time. So it was a challenge, but we worked through it. And actually, I feel like that period, you know, we worked out pretty well, you know.
I'm curious about, because obviously you guys have a very serious standard for what you're selling.
Yes.
So during that point, how much were you willing to flex on? Because that is a tough thing, because you're upholding your brand and your business and what you want to project. But in the same vein, if everybody is struggling to an extent, you also have to kind of cater towards making it affordable. So how did you guys balance that?
We took a different approach, you know, obviously with the second store having more warehouse space. The more product you buy, better pricing you'd get. So we started developing, hey, if instead of buying, you know, 20 cases of water, let's buy 500. The price drops dramatically, you know, and I can still keep that same brand. So we started developing these items where these are everyday big items. Let's buy it where we're going to be more competitive. Our price can come down. And we started doing that on a lot of items, and it really helped.
No, that's a genius way to look at it, because then you kind of pulled the exact same quality standard while also making it more affordable.
Yeah, and then we looked at other brands that we've never carried, but we did research. Hey, this is a very good brand, not as well known, but the quality's great. People will buy this once they try it, and we could sell it at 30% less.
Yeah.
So that was really important, finding good items, because we knew everybody was struggling. So let's find great items, get lower costs, pass that on to the customers. You know, it works out good.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about that communication that you have with customers. How much are you hearing about? How much are you taking their feedback, I guess? Because I'm sure the data and the numbers show one thing, and then also what you hear shows another. So how do you balance between the two of those things? How do you...
I listen to both of them very much. So I look at the numbers, very good, but I love hearing from the customers, because you'd be surprised. They're very educated. They go to the Costco's, the Kroger, so they're seeing everything, you know?
Yeah.
And they're
sometimes... So they might be more accurate than you think.
Oh, yeah. They'll be coming up to me like, oh, my God, Vince, this price is amazing what you got. You're beating Costco or Kroger, or, hey, you know, you guys are a little high. And I take all that. You know, I never say, oh, you know, whatever. He doesn't know his prices. I'll start to research that. Be like, how is so-and-so selling it cheaper? Or, man, I'm getting a good price. Let me buy more of this. So I love hearing from customers, even when it's, you know, hey, I had an issue with this. Hey, let me look into it. Great. Thank you for letting me know, you know?
Yeah. How important are those relationships? I have to imagine. I mean, you guys have to have contacts for everything. Everything. You get meat and potatoes and everything under the sun.
Yes.
How long have you had relationships with these people?
Some of them 40 years.
Wow.
Yeah. And we deal with tons of Michigan companies, from small honey growers, you know, to it's just amazing, you know, and they, you know, we call them all the time for orders, and they're great people just like us, you know, trying to help their family, better them, you know, and we deal with a lot of them, as well as the big companies all across the country.
Yeah. How much are you looking for new vendors versus keeping loyal to the ones that you guys have been? That's got to be a tough thing to balance as well.
It is. And we always like supporting local Michigan companies, but we're always attending food shows out of state, you know, out of the country. And you're always looking for new items, not necessarily to take over somebody else's item, but what's new, what's out there. And in this industry, you know, you could see one item right now, oh my God, this is the next great thing. And 6 months later, that's faded, and now there's a new item. So I'm constantly looking at new items. And a lot of these local companies, they come in every day. Hey, I got a new item. They'll show you. You know, you love seeing it, tasting it, giving it a try. And obviously, if it's up to our standard and we can give our customers a great price, it's going to be on our shelf.
Yeah, and that's where I was. The way that you were moving forward with that was, it's your services to the customer.
Absolutely.
Right, and at the end of the day, I'm sure the people that you work with, if they understand it's your number one priority to give them the best product at the best price, and if that person can't do that, I'm sure that your vendors are willing to understand that's the situation.
Absolutely. And a lot of customers will come up to me, you know, carrying 13,000 items. You know, it's still every day I hear something, hey, do you carry this? No, I don't. But what I promise customers, give me your name and number. I'll find this item. I'll look for it for you. I'll get it for you. No problem.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I'll keep that in mind next time.
People love that, because you're giving them that personal touch, and it's something I feel like, hey, now I got this customer coming back. They're going to want this item. It feels good.
It's a very interesting, now I think about the way that you guys conduct your business. It's a very interesting niche within the market, because I just think about going to Kroger or Meijer or something along those lines. I mean, there's just none of what you're describing.
Oh yeah,
zero.
And they do all great jobs themselves, but their systems are different. We're still the type, hey, how many bottles do I have on the shelf? We're walking with local vendors, writing orders with them. What's new? What specials do you have going on?
Yeah.
It's cool. It's like an old style marketplace.
But it's a different experience.
Absolutely.
That's the main thing to understand, that regardless of they have their experience for the people that are maybe just there to get in and out, cheapest price, get out of there.
Yeah.
Yours is an experience. Again,
Exactly.
they like, and the customer likes the communication that you have back and forth of, hey, this price is kind of high, and actually having that communication with the customer.
Exactly.
That's amazing.
And we're such a small company locally, but we're still large, where if we notice a price that's, a little higher, or hey, we're at the right spot, we can change on the dime,
Yeah.
Whereas a big corporate, hey, they got to reach their corporate, it could be a month before.
It's 2 months before
something happens. Yeah.
Yeah. That's how it goes in corporate, unfortunately.
And we're always, service is so big to us. You come into our stores, we have cashiers at every register saying hi, talking to you. And it's amazing how many customers will know our cashiers by first name.
Yeah.
Develop that relationship.
It's funny you say that. I was just talking with my wife the other day, where I had someone approach me and ask me about my day. And I was like, that's the first time I've had someone do that in a long time. Like,
I know.
It's sad, but that's going away. And now
it is. And it's something that we stick by that. We want people on our counters to greet you, serve you, and build that relationship, and I think that's important.
I think it 100% is. I mean,
yeah.
To your point of what you've built with your family, it's all about community. It's all about relationships.
Exactly.
You wouldn't have been able to build what you guys have built without that.
Yeah.
And I think the same thing goes for the relationship that you guys have with your customers.
Absolutely.
So that's
our community was, our community is what made us Vince and Joe's,
Yeah.
So
without a doubt. So I want to hear a little bit about, so you're in that early phase still. So what were some big challenges maybe that you grew through as you were growing, as you guys were scaling? What were some of the big things that you guys, some speed bumps that you went through?
Just logistics. Sometimes, we send product to both stores each day, and getting the right people to do that, and checking inventories. I mean, when you're dealing with this many items throughout the store, you try to want to keep everything as fresh as possible.
What about in regards to employment? Because you're skipping over a lot of the stuff that I'm sure you just figured out, but I'm curious. I mean, I'm sure you had no background of, okay, how many secretaries do we have, or how many people are doing our taxes, or how many people are, did you figure that stuff out all on the fly, or how did you guys, you scaled and grew, did you figure that out on the fly, or where did you learn a lot of that?
I learned it a lot in school and like determining how many people could help, but we kind of grew that as the store grew, and we had a great accountant we've used for 30 plus years. And he's a good guidance too, in terms of, hey, you're going to need these many people, he always supports us with certain numbers, but it's all more of just living in the moment and seeing what we need,
Yeah. No, that makes sense. I mean, could you speak a little bit to your team? Because I'm sure you have an attorney. I'm sure you have a full team that supports what you guys do as a business.
Yeah.
For those that are just starting a business, maybe don't have that team built around them, can you speak to the importance of having the right accountant, the right attorney, everything in line to make sure that you can have longevity in the business? Because that's one thing that you guys have done, again, that is not an easy task. Being in business for 40 business is not an easy thing.
Yeah. No, it's extremely important. I mean, you need those key people to help ensure your business is operating at a profit. I mean, because we're all in business to make a profit, you need that key accountant, that a key attorney to help in any situation where, like myself, I'm a majority of my time in the store. How do I get the products? But, I have a great attorney. If something comes up, hey, I need help with this. I need handling, you need those, you can't do everything yourself. That's important to have that key structure, especially in a good accountant, good attorney. We have a great marketing person that helps, us do advertising and, helps with things that they've studied and learned, and bring it into Vince and Joe's.
How much are you involved with that kind of stuff? I'm curious. So marketing, for example, are you really into following what's happening, trying to contribute to that? Or do you allow them to kind of steer the ship?
I let them steer the ship, but I always love to put input or ideas. And we have great people where they love running it by us, not on everything, but on crucial things. Hey, what do you think if we post something like this? Hey, I love the idea, If I see something on somebody else's social network, I'll, shoot it to them and say, hey, I think this would be a great idea, So I try not to micromanage them too much. I want them to show me what they got,
Yeah.
But I'm always there to put input in and make suggestions as well.
Because the brand is so important to you.
Absolutely.
I would imagine that's got to be vital to what you guys are doing.
For sure.
No, that's amazing. So now to where you're at today. Explain to me how it feels to be where you are today from back then. What does it feel like to understand that you just had that small starting place and you're here today? Do you believe it? Does it feel like it went by fast? Does it feel like it went by slow? Explain that to us.
It feels like it went by fast, because I got to admit most days I'm enjoying myself. I'm loving it, and it's amazing to think like for where my uncle and my father and my mom and my aunt started, just this small little mom and pop store to this now big company and, with over 400 employees, 13,000 items. It feels great. And I'm a part of it. My families are a part of it. My brother, my cousin, I love it. I wake up in the morning, I count my blessings because it feels great. And, seeing my young nephew now get in the business, I'm like, this is beautiful, and it's like the American dream,
Yeah, no, without a doubt. I think a big thing that I want to give you credit for is the fact that you're contributing directly to the community, which I think is so cool that you have an actual connection. You provide a service directly that impacts the people that you live near. How does that feel? You ever connect the dots? Where do you live? Do you live near there?
I actually live near our Shelby Township store, right up at Washington Township. But I grew up in Clinton Township. I've always been a part of the community, and anytime there's local events going on, we're there to help. We're bringing our food tent there, setting up food. The community is everything to me, and I love it. And they've always supported us too over the years as we've grown. I know, the supervisor of Clinton Township, Mr. Cannon, and I've built relationships with these people, and they know us as a good, hardworking family. And they, I never bat an eye when they come to us. Hey, would you be able to support us at this event? I love doing it.
Yeah, no doubt. I think that's so important for people to understand that are looking to go into business as well, that you can provide so much value to the people that are around you, and Absolutely. They can provide so much value to you. And
community's huge, and it's very important. You can never shut them out.
Yeah. I think it's getting tough with now everything so digitized.
Yeah. Yes, that's true.
We've already talked about the fact that people are missing that face-to-face connection, sure. When you're at stores, when you're at places, and you're at locations of that nature. And you can really do a lot of good, and they can really do a lot of good for you. So I think it's important for anybody starting a business to realize like how much of an impact you really can have on the people that you live around.
Absolutely.
So I like to wrap things up with a couple things that maybe you would advise people of if they were looking to get into your business or your industry. And then I also like to grab some thoughts on just generalized, some advice that you would give to young people
Sure.
that are getting started in their career. So I guess let's start with your industry in particular. So if someone maybe wanted to be in the food service industry or open up a market or do something similar to what you're doing, again, all over the world, what would be some key things that if you were to go back that would accelerate you faster than the path that you took? What would be those key things that you would advise them on?
Don't ever be afraid to take a chance. Really, really have that passion in you to want to be the best you can be, and really keep an open mind and try to learn as much as you can. Like make your mind like a sponge, especially I have young kids that work in my store, and some of them are great. I could tell like they want to stay in my store for a long time, and I'm always teaching them. I'm like, I'll reiterate, hey, look what I'm doing. Let me teach you how to do this, and just keeping an open mind and not saying, oh no, I know how to do this. Really if you have an entrepreneur, if you have somebody you can look up to, that's an amazing thing. That'll help you really lead you in the right path.
Would you say skills wise? So obviously you went the route of accounting, numbers. Would you, if you were to go back again and to restart, what about the background of sales, or what about the background of maybe logistics, or the background, now you said accounting, right? There's a couple different ways you could approach it that I'm sure are all very valuable to your business. Would you stick with accounting if you were to go back and redo it? Or do you think that learning more about logistics or maybe having a sales background would be more beneficial to you?
I think the accounting is important, but more of that's on the backside. But I would say something logistics, sales, and I think some classes on really knowing people, like how to
psychology potentially.
Psychology, yeah, because I got to admit, sometimes the buying and selling, it's easy, looking for this price, looking for this quality. But when you have over 400 employees, there's things going on every day, and you got to be patient and understand their point of view where they're telling you, hey, I'm having some hardships. I need some help. Can I get a raise, more hours,
Yeah.
And you can't be that type. No, I can't give you more hours. Mm-hmm. No, you got to really feel where they're coming from and what can you do to help? And I think that would be important. Psychology and understanding humans, and, taking some classes on communication would be huge, No,
I think that's super helpful.
Absolutely.
I really do. Now let's go a more generalized approach.
Sure.
So if someone has no clue what they're going to do, they're not in a position like you were where you saw your path to your future.
Yep.
They're looking to choose what their future is going to look like. They want to have a family. They want to provide for that family in the same way that you have, but they don't necessarily know what's going to be their vehicle to do it.
Okay.
What would be your advice to that person to figure out what that thing might be, or what questions they might ask themselves that would help them figure that out?
First thing I would tell them is, what are some of their passions? What do they really love doing? What can they, and what do they do good at? And what they feel like, if they can find that happy blend between some of their passions and stuff they've learned over the years, I think that would be a good start. And start small. Don't feel like you need to, I got to be at this point in a year or 2 years. Good things will come to you. Everything can grow organically. Just patience.
Yeah, you guys have exemplified that with how you've been, even though you've done so well with what you've done with your business, you haven't been in a rush to open up new locations and
exactly
dilute what you guys have created.
Exactly. I mean, it's been 40 years and we have 2 stores. That might not sound like a lot to people, but for us, it's a great accomplishment, and the future is bright for us. We might, when we feel like that point is right, we might tackle on another store.
Yeah. And I think it's important too for people to look at the outcome that you're after.
Sure.
Right? Because in your situation, like you said, I mean, you could have more stores. Mm-hmm. You could be making more money. There's all these things that come with that.
Absolutely.
But at what cost? Remember, we talked about that previously. You may have more money, but you may have less time with your family, right? You may have more locations, but you might not have the same brand that you appreciate. So I think for people watching at home, thinking about the outcome, which is what you've done such an amazing job, because you have beautiful stores, you have a great family, you get to work with your family, everybody has a great relationship still. You've gotten great outcomes out of what you've done because you've been true to what you really want to have out of it.
Absolutely.
I think that's so important for people to pay attention to at home, because just more doesn't always mean better.
Yeah, that's 100% true. 100%.
So I want to thank you so much for making the time again to be here.
This has been great.
This has been really cool. Love hearing the backstory of these businesses, and it's just so special to hear all this stuff.
Thank you. It's
thank
been
you
great.
so much.
Thank you so much.
And everybody at home, guys, I want to thank you so much for making the time to learn today, believing in the possibility that life can be better, and challenging yourself to grow. Believe that everybody's pursuing what they feel to be their dream life, and hopefully today you got one step closer. We'll see you next time, and never stop pursuing precision. All right, everybody, that is going to conclude episode 19 of the Pursuit of Precision podcast with Vince Vitale. This was an unreal story. Love hearing about family businesses, and most importantly, how he was able to scale what was already great to something even greater. So I'm going to now recap the top 3 things that I learned in my interview with Vince. 1, become a lifelong student. I can't tell you how many times in this interview Vince used the word education or learning. He was always expressing that no matter how far along in his journey, now 27 years he's been in this business, he's still asking the person that stocks shelves for advice. You'd think someone in his position would have it all figured out and know all the answers and mostly be instructing people on what to do. But instead, he's still asking, still learning, still hoping to gain knowledge from others. He doesn't have it all figured out. And I think that's a really valuable lesson to learn. 2, how valuable family can really be. Now, a lot of people say it's not the best thing to work with your family, but in his case, he showed how powerful that can truly be. They count on each other, they push each other, they keep each other accountable when maybe they don't want to work the extra hours. They're always thinking about what this brand and this company is going to do for their community, and their reputation, their family's name is on the line every day they go to work. 3, envision the outcome that you're going to have in a situation before you just dive in head first. So obviously, throughout this interview, we highlighted all the success that this gourmet food market had throughout the 40 years that they've been in business. And a pretty simple question that came to mind for me was, why haven't you grown more? Why haven't you grown into new markets, had all these locations all over because of how successful you've been? And what he told me is that it might not do or serve him in the same way that his businesses do to this day. If he had more locations, he might lose his brand's reputation. If he had more locations, he might not have as much time with his family and friends. And so what I learned from this is that paying attention and learning and thinking about what that outcome is actually going to look like, instead of always just pushing for more and better, might give you a better solution in the long run. All right, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I did. Really cool insights from a beautiful family-owned business here locally in Michigan. If you're someone that is an entrepreneur, wants to get in the food service industry, or has a family business that you're looking to improve upon, this is an unreal episode that I hope you watch through a couple more times. We'll see you next time, and never stop pursuing precision.